Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Dectoris. This is episode 3. We've moved up to some bigger ships. We're flying destroyers now. We're using a catalyst with blasters, an MWD, and a scram. It's just kind of a one-trick pony. You just get on top of people, scram them, and just start melting them away. Overheated, it does about 500 DPS, so you're going to catch a lot of people by surprise. And the other ship we use is an Algos. The Algos, a little different. It's got rails and it's got drones, so it definitely has a much broader engagement profile. It allows you to deal with those pesky kiting ships like Tristans and Slicers and stuff. The railguns can shoot out farther than blasters, obviously. And the Algos gets a tracking bonus as well as a drone MWD bonus, so the drones will keep up with whatever you're trying to catch. And this one is fit with an MWD, web, and scram. I do like the MWDs better than the afterburners. It really puts you behind the 8-ball on ships that are going to be scram kiting you, in other words using their afterburner to dictate range while scrams are active on each target. But I really do like the Algos because it allows you to not just get perma-kited. The catalyst is pretty slow. Even with overheat, that fit I think only got me up to maybe like 2600. And the reason why I even switched to the Algos in the first place was because I lost a catalyst to a Tristan. I ended up catching him, but I burned out my MWD in the process, and he coasted out of my scram and went happily along, just slowly chipping me down. This first fight is a super difficult one. It's an unfit AFK Merlin, so pretty dicey there. Shouldn't have even hoard on this poor Tristan's kill mail. I should have just let him have the solo frag, but I was thinking that he was probably stab fit and we would have needed the extra scram as well as the Tristan's disruptor to keep him on field instead of him buggered off. That obviously wasn't the case. He probably was out making a cup of tea or something and just allowed us to frag him super quick. Super dumb stuff, but hey, it's our first frag in a destroyer. We're not going to complain. Got to take what you can get. I did really enjoy flying destroyers. It did seem like you were getting less fights simply because if you see a catalyst on D-scan towards, whatever complex you're going to be going to, you don't want to show up at 0. That's just not a good place to be. That DPS is super huge, but it's super short ranged, and you don't want to warp to 0 on a beacon and have a catalyst sitting at 0 with you. This next fight is against a Dragoon. This is another situation of just that high amount of DPS just being able to kind of surprise you and shock you down. The one thing that he had going for him, and this fight is deceptively close. It doesn't look that way as it progresses, but if you watch my capacitor, you can see that his newts are just wrecking havoc on it. I am chewing through his tank really fast, and he is taking a long time even to get through my shields, and I'm a hull tank ship, so he's got another layer of armor to get through as well. But if you look, the last shot that I used to finish him off used up the last little bit of capacitor that I had. So if it would have taken me any amount longer to fight this guy, I would have ran out of cap. I wouldn't have been able to use my guns. My scram probably would have dropped as well, and he could have just warped off or gotten to a better range and slowly chipped away at me, and I would have had absolutely nothing to do against it. I don't have a cap booster. I don't have any sort of way to combat that. It's just a hurry up and do your damage quick, and hopefully the bad guy dies before you do. This next fight is a Thrasher, I believe, which is kind of the same idea as a catalyst. It's a nice up-close brawler haul. The one nice thing about the Thrasher is it does have much better projection in the sense that autocannons, which he's 200mm autocannon fit, have a ton of fall off. So if maybe he was a little bit more experienced, or maybe had a little bit more of a plan when fighting me, he would have burned away and got to that sweet spot of 6 or 7 kilometers where my DPS would have fallen off pretty significantly, and his would have been still doing okay. He would still be within his fall off. He didn't do that. He orbited me, and yeah, that didn't end up too well for him. Yeah, he just melted. Most of the Thrashers that I've seen have been the traditional shield tank with a medium shield extender, a scram, and a web. But I don't think that's how he was fit. But that's not a bad fight. I would take that too. If I was in a Thrasher and a Catalyst showed up, I would take that as well. I would try to pull a little range, but again, you're just not ready for that much DPS just hauling at you. And even though he would have had a scram on me, because I have that prop mod in the lows, that allows me to kind of keep up even though I've got a scram on. I don't have the fitting space for an MW or for an afterburner, because I elected to use an MWD just to burn down and get on top of people quicker. Just using that more element of surprise to, keep the fight in my hands. But either way, that one went out pretty well. This next fight is me kind of toying with Cormorant. I saw him on scan at this Plex, so I warp in. And initially I'm thinking that that's kind of not a great place for me to be, because a Cormorant has super long range. Traditionally you fit up a Cormorant with like rails and you sit 30, 40, 50 kilometers away from whoever you're going to fight, and you use that time for them burning to you to get a bunch of free damage on them. And I have absolutely no way to compete with that range. I could have fit rails myself, but I don't like a rail Catalyst. Maybe in like packs that would be something that would be worthwhile, but I think the Cormorant does a much better job of the sniper destroyer hull. However, that doesn't seem to be the case. He doesn't want to play, and I can't say I blame him, because he's left the site, and if he wants to come back in and fight me, he's got to come in at 0, which no matter what way his ship is configured, it's not going to be, well, I shouldn't say that, but it's going to be a lot harder for him to win in an engagement with me on 0 when he comes in, because I'm going to be doing full damage, and he's not going to be doing as much damage as me because he doesn't get the same amount of damage out of his hull. Instead, Federation Navy Comet shows up, and again, I wasn't actually sure what would win. Comets can tank pretty dang well, and they can fit a NOS, so they can keep their rep going, and they can keep active modules firing longer than a Catalyst could. Once you just burn out your cap, you're just done. So I was a little nervous, especially if he would have been like a scram web railgun fit. He could have just sat at 8 kilometers and mitigated a ton of my damage while still doing a ton of his, and he's got drones as well. So it's definitely a formidable ship to fight. But again, coming in at 0, that is where the Catalyst has the biggest strength, and that's when I chose to set up all of these fights, because let's be honest, that's what you do. You normally don't just happen upon, you kind of a fight, you kind of see it coming, and you want to set it up in a sort of engagement profile that's going to be beneficial to you. And even with me being at 0 and him coming in right to my optimal, you can see how close it is. He's still armor repping, and I'm into my hull. Now that's where the majority of my hit points come from, but he's able to keep punching back armor, even though I can't, because I have no way to rep back damage that he's done to me. So it doesn't look as close as it could be, but my guns were 90% damaged. I had no more room to overheat, and once that little 20% hull that I have is gone, I mean, that's it, dunzo. His Cormorant friend actually does warp in a few seconds, but I managed to align out, and when he popped up on grid, I just boogie out of there, because there's no way with 20% structure left I'm going to actually take that fight. Which brings us to the last fight of the evening. This is the Algos. I found another Algos to fight, and it turns out that he was 10 MN Afterburner fit, which has its uses for sure. The oversized prop mod will allow you to get out of dodge even when there are scrams involved. I particularly don't like it, especially when it's like a 1v1 situation, because it does have a tendency to eat up a ton of your fitting space, right? So because it uses a lot more power grid and everything, you have less power grid to use for your weapon system. You have less CPU to fit for, you know, damage increasing modules and your lows and stuff like that. But I do take the fight, and it ends up pretty favorable for me. Not really that close. I managed to keep a cool head and keep him at range instead of, you know, diving in and getting in real close. I know that my ship operates really well at like 6 or 7 kilometers, so I've actually set my keep at range distance to 6 kilometers, and that's kind of where I want to be, right in that sweet spot where I have a little bit of wiggle room with my scram web. He's not gonna, you know, quickly get away, and you can see me double clicking in space in the opposite direction. I want to keep him away. He's gonna want to be right up on top of me because he's fit with autocannons. But I'm the opposite. I want to be sitting out far because I'm gonna track him better, and I don't need to be close. And as you can see, I think he even starts trying to maybe pull some range on me, and I just start clicking in his direction just to kind of keep my modules, my EWAR modules activated on him to scram in the web, and he goes down no problem. All in all, really good fights. It did take me a lot longer to collect these fights because people, you know, are a little less apt to engage, but it's been a heck of a lot of fun. That marks 2 weeks of faction warfare for me. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Give me feedback as always, and yeah, we'll definitely see you out there.